What's up, Taiwan? I'm Rik Glauert with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The US is strengthening its military cooperation with Taiwan, selling it a weapon system designed to improve communications between its military assets. Sally Jensen has the details.
Taiwan has purchased nearly 200 of these F-16 fighter jets from the US. But using their fleet effectively requires an integrated communication system capable of linking it to other weapon systems and command and control. That's where the Link 16 comes in. It's a military tactical data link network used by NATO for communications and weapons interoperability, functioning like an Internet of Things or cloud for military hardware. The US just sold Taiwan the Link 16 system as part of the first arms deal with the country since Taiwan's January elections. At $75 million, the Link 16 is intended to improve Taiwan's combined arms capabilities.
那它传输的不仅仅是声音、影像、数据，它可以传输很多即时的战场资讯，对于三军联合作战，对于跟盟友之间、友军之间，战情指挥、讯息的传递是非常重要的系统。
By providing the ability to surveil enemy forces in real time and gather intelligence, it's hoped the system will bolster Taiwan's defense capabilities and increase battlefield effectiveness. The US is set to send 400 personnel to Taiwan to help get Link 16 up and running.
主要会由美方就整合国军的直管跟情监侦系统的数据链路的升级，进行整体规划。 以及完成部分优先升级的作业。
The sale reflects strengthening cooperation between the US and Taiwan and comes amid a period of increased aggression from China, which claims Taiwan and has threatened to take the country by force. The US similarly helped Ukraine deploy a Link 16 system in its fight against Russia.
北约国家美国在乌克兰战场上其实就广泛运用这个系统。 那就是北约跟美国会把他们所收集到的俄军的高价值目标的位置提供给乌克兰，由乌克兰的前线部队发动打击。
Growing ever more reliant on US-made weaponry and military assistance to deter a Chinese invasion, Taiwan is now looking to streamline its arms purchases from its partner, and it hopes the Link 16 is the system that will harmonize its defense capabilities. Alex Chen and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
New details are emerging about the fatal encounter between Taiwan's Coast Guard and a fishing boat which left 2 Chinese citizens dead near Taiwan's island of Kinmen. Tiffany Wong brings us the latest.
目前有一艘 A 类高速前进，目前往北京岛前进。
This is the internal communication by Taiwan's Coast Guard recorded before pursuing a Chinese boat that trespassed into the waters near Taiwan's Kinmen Island. The Coast Guard is using the recording to defend its actions, saying they had the right to pursue the unnamed Chinese boat when it began to speed away. The Coast Guard claimed that the Chinese boat overturned when attempting to flee.
做了一个甩尾，然后不断的碰触的过程，离心力的关系导致这艘陆基快艇失去平衡，翻覆，马上开始展开一个搜救的动作。
The Coast Guard's lack of video evidence has complicated the official investigation, but they maintain that they followed all protocols. The Coast Guard also says it will add recording equipment to all ships in the future. But regardless of the video evidence, Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which handles matters with China, said that the Coast Guard's actions were in line with standard procedures.
发生了不幸的死亡案件，这个是令人遗憾的，但是我们仍然支持这个海巡署继续执法。
As the surviving Chinese fishers arrived back in China, prosecutors in Kinmen questioned their claims to Chinese media that Taiwan's Coast Guard caused the accident, saying that one of the fishers had testified that they sped up to escape and did not feel a collision when the boat overturned. Prosecutors will continue to examine their testimony.
这2位都有经过海巡署以及本署检察官讯问，而且本署检察官讯问的时候有全程录影。
The investigation has aggravated tensions between Taiwan and its neighbor China, which claims the island nation as its own. But it's also sowing divides between political parties in Taiwan, with opposition parties questioning the Coast Guard's version of events, making this cross-strait affair also about keeping peace in the country. Eason Penn and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Stock indexes in Japan and Taiwan reached record highs on Thursday, propelled by American chip designer Nvidia's soaring profits. Japan's Nikkei broke past its 1989 record, and Taiwan's TAIEX rose to new heights as well, boosted by a rally in chipmaker TSMC, which is Nvidia's biggest Asian supplier. Nvidia announced on Wednesday that its sales revenues jumped by 265% to $22 billion in its last quarter, compared to a year earlier. University students are lining up to join a semiconductor engineering program taught in part by employees of chip giant TSMC. Hundreds of students joined an information seminar on the program at National Taiwan Normal University. 10 schools will offer classes on semiconductor engineering, with some taught by TSMC employees. Completing the program also guarantees a job interview with the company, with successful hires earning a sign-on bonus of nearly $5,000. Students say they're motivated by the incentives.
当然是有赢，因为大家都知道台积电的薪水福利比较好一点，然后也是未来会想要进的大公司。
The cabinet has approved a plan to create a Taiwanese Silicon Valley in 4 years. If successful, it would vastly expand northern Taiwan's tech hub. John Van Triest reports.
This collection of buildings might not look like much from the air, but what goes on inside powers the modern world. This is Hsinchu in northern Taiwan. It's a tech hub that's known as the heart of Taiwan's semiconductor industry. Semiconductors are essential for electronics, and chip makers in Hsinchu dominate the global market. But Taiwan's government wants more for this region, and big changes are already on the way. During last year's presidential campaign, ruling party candidate Lai Ching-te pledged to create a Taiwanese Silicon Valley centered on Hsinchu and its neighbors. He envisioned a corridor including the city of Taoyuan to Hsinchu's north and the largely rural county of Miaoli to its south. Now, Lai is president-elect, set to take office in May. And before he's even been inaugurated, Taiwan's cabinet is laying the groundwork for his Silicon Valley plan. It's approved a 4-year blueprint. Already, officials are optimistic.
桃竹苗是一个非常完整的一个科技廊带，那同时它还有这个桃园机场跟台北港所以有国际物流的趋势。虽然它的面积只有台湾的10%，可是它的产值是台湾的1/4接近10兆元。
The plan includes the construction of 7 new science parks and 52 new industrial parks. The goal is to create over $190 billion in output value and create 140,000 jobs. The National Development Council already has water infrastructure projects on the table to supply thirsty industries like semiconductors as they ramp up production. It's also considering how to meet growing demand for power, as well as the demand for transport, medical care, and housing that will come as new jobs boost the population. They say this plan's success is vital to Taiwan's future.
桃竹苗大溪谷推动计划的我们国家战略的考量，先进国家都积极的布局这个半导体，我们觉得有必要加强力道，来巩固台湾在半导体的竞争优势。
But it's not just semiconductors. That's only the starting point. The hope is for an upgrade across many industries in the region, with the help of tech like generative AI. In 4 years, this part of Taiwan is set to look very different. Maybe not from the air, but certainly in the eyes of the tech and business world. Dolphine Chen and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
3 Taoyuan police officers are under investigation for allegedly beating and tasering a minor in their custody. The 70-year-old victim was detained for 8 hours on accusations of kidnapping. In a bid to get a confession, the officers are said to have interrogated him for more than an hour, hitting him and tasering him multiple times. The Taoyuan Police Precinct says it will not tolerate any of its officers breaking the law.
经本分局调查属实，已依法将涉案员警移送桃园地检署指挥侦办，并对受害之当事人、家长及社会大众深表歉意。
Space is not a luxury afforded to egg-laying hens in Taiwan. That's according to a report by an animal rights group. The Open Wing Alliance ranked Taiwan 6th out of 17 Asia-Pacific countries for its treatment of egg-laying hens. notably scoring 0 for progress towards abolishing cage-fed hens. Of the 3 billion laying hens raised across Asia each year, 90% of them spend their entire lives in cages. Animal rights groups say the issue affects more than just chickens.
有没有善待经济动物，它一直都不是只有动物的问题而已，它还跟疫病的风险有关，它还跟食安有关。
Plant doctors are treating crops and improving yields all around the Taiwan with positive, measurable results. But they must continue doing so unregulated due to a spat over words. Rhys Ayres reports.
Swapping stethoscopes for fly traps. This doctor's patients are plants, not people. Li Zonghan is one of a team of specialists called Botanical Doctors. They're working in Taiwan's farmlands to help local farmers keep their crops healthy.
这黑菇啊加的，因为伊加吼伊会较细粒，伊拢安尼加一个空出安尼尔，一粒安尼一空一空。啊，若钓时啊加伊安怎，伊会变安尼，食甲叶啊拢胖进去。
At this farm in the southern county of Yunlin, in Taiwan's agricultural heartland, Li provides diagnoses and treatments for plants plagued by pests, with a focus on more environmentally friendly treatments.
蛋中遐，伊就放伫中安尼。 安尼，一组会使冻差不多1个月，你就吊伫遮就好啊。啊，伊的叶啊，伊就一直飞伫内底，安尼你就袂像迄张安尼黏着顶管，拢毋是主要的害虫。
Li wants farmers to use pesticides less and in a more targeted way. Over 9,000 tons of pesticides were sprayed across Taiwan in 2022, the excessive use of which can cause long-term damage to the land and contaminate produce with dangerous chemicals. Li says advice from plant doctors can help reduce environmental impact and improve business for farmers.
我觉得我们的立场可以更中立的告诉他说：“阿姨，我真正想要替你省钱，我真的是想要帮你省钱，所以我们才会推不管是安全用药、精准用药。”
Crops that got diagnoses and treatment from Li yielded 2 to 3 times more produce, with pest control and prevention costs reduced by a third, pointing to the effectiveness of botanical physicians. But the profession lacks legislative regulation, something plant doctors have been pushing for since 2016, because some human physicians take issue with the wording.
医师团体对于这个名称的那一开始我们碰到这个问题，我们也很惊讶，因为全世界都没有这个问题。就老一辈的老师其实还蛮 care 这个东西，这明明就是植物医师。
Botanical doctors like Li can continue treating plant patients across Taiwan, but will have to do so unregulated, until the government can decide exactly what to call them. Chou and Rhys Ayres for TaiwanPlus.
Stunning images have come out of NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory after it witnessed an intense solar flare. The phenomenon appeared as a bright flash in the upper left quadrant of the sun. Solar flares are short bursts of electromagnetic radiation released into the sun's atmosphere. According to NASA, solar flares can affect communications, power grids, and navigation systems. This flare was an X-class flare, which is the most intense. Taiwan has yet to produce a Formula One racing driver, but teenager Jimmy Chou could be one to watch. In Dubai last week, Chou finished the Golf Radical Cup endurance race some 9 seconds ahead of the second-place driver, nabbing his first ever race win. He said managing the timing of his pit stop was key to his victory. Chou is 17 years old and still in high school. To compete in the Golf Series, he flies from Taiwan to the UAE for every weekend race event. Later this year, he plans to compete in a higher Formula Series in Europe and hopes to pursue a professional career in racing.
我一开始是大概5年级的时候，因为爸爸的关系开始开卡丁车。那我对赛车也非常有兴趣，所以就一直开，后来转战到了大车。
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we go, snuggle up with these images of giant panda cubs playing in northwest China. I'm Rik Glauert, take care, and we will see you next time.